So my
Okay.
I've been handling the social media page of Swiss Africa, and we just started this initiative. It's just a month now, so it's really new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we are trying to motivate women to go into science and technology because in Nigeria, it's been really difficult to find women in STEM, and that's because of the environment. Most
Okay.
times, after their undergraduates, finding a job becomes so difficult. So most people just fall back to business and drop the certificate somewhere. So we're trying to build a
Yeah.
platform where we can encourage them that irrespective of the situation, you can still pursue a degree in STEM.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. That's good to know. Do you know why that is? Is it lack of awareness, do you think, or lack of access to those kind of opportunities or studies?
I think most times it's lack of opportunities because I believe everybody wants to do something they really like, but when they're not given an opportunity, they just find an alternative.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, no, that definitely, I would say there's similar challenges here, but there are probably more resources to navigate, a way around it. For me as a African American woman, there are so many challenges, right? It's not a lot of us in the field here in the U.S. as well. However, I think companies are aware, which helps because they want to do something about it. I think the challenge becomes, you as a person, being empowered enough to keep working at it and putting yourself in those spaces, like doing your research and networking, reaching out to people, very simple, like how you messaged me on Instagram and now look, here we are. I think those kind of things, just being very, diligent in those efforts and reaching out to connect yourself to the right people to help you elevate and grow. I think that was a good way to kind of, to change that.
So what's like your drive? What drives you? What's your passion?
Honestly, I would say the lack of diversity is my passion. So I entered this field in 2014. I was working in banking and I quit my job and I took a 4-month internship. So I quit my salary job to take an internship, which was paying less. But that was because a friend said to me, she was like, have you ever heard of data privacy? Because that's kind of how I entered into the field, because data privacy falls under cybersecurity. And I said, no, I didn't know a lot about it. But she said, it's fairly new. Now would be the time to get into it because it's going to grow, such a need. And so I said, okay, I got the internship. I worked really, really hard. And in 4 months, I got hired in by Deloitte.
Wow.
I don't know if you've heard of Deloitte.
No.
They are a big one. So there's 4 large consulting firms, public accounting firms across the world. And they also provide, consulting advisory, tax services, the whole nine. And so Deloitte is one of them. I think it's Deloitte, EY, KPMG, and PwC.
Yeah, I know
And so
KPMG.
Okay, so it's the same kind of company. Yeah, it's like 4 of them that are top competitors. And so I went to go work for Deloitte and I worked with them for 4 years. And I traveled a ton, learned a lot. And on those projects, even from the client side and my own internal projects, I was almost always either the only woman or the only Black person or both, right? So it was like a double whammy for me. And so I was still young in it. So I was like, okay, whatever, let me just learn what I need to learn. But now with everything it is that I'm doing, with trying to create awareness with Black girls in cyber and things like that, my passion drives from that lack of diversity, because there wasn't anyone for me to look to help me grow in my career. There wasn't anyone who looked like me. The people who were helping me were white males. You know, thank God there were a few really awesome ones who saw that there was a need and was willing to help. But it was really a realization for me that, okay, I have a responsibility now, because I don't have that. I need to create that for others. And so that's really what drives my passion, is with wanting to see more of me in this space and create awareness, because I think part of it is people don't know about it. You don't know what the careers look like. And so I spend a lot of my time talking about it, the practicality, what it looks like on the job, things like that, so that people can have a better idea of what it is. Because just hearing cybersecurity can be intimidating. Anything technology related, science, those things come off intimidating until you actually start to learn it and do it, and you're like, oh, this is actually not that bad. I just needed to put in the time, you know? So yeah, that's definitely what drives my passion, is
What you said
diversity.
is absolutely true. Like, tech is actually, it looks very intimidating from the outside, but once you start doing it, like, this is it. So how has it been easy managing your work, your social life? And I know you're married, so how has it been?
So that's twofold. So pre-COVID, I was traveling a ton for work, and I actually stopped traveling because I got pregnant. It was unplanned, but yeah, I was like, okay, there's no way I can work the way I'm working now and have a baby on the way. So I knew I would have to leave, but prior to that, it was actually still challenging because I was traveling a lot for work. I was so focused on my career that I, you know, when I was home here in Atlanta, weekends would be spent being with my husband or doing stuff around the house or getting my things in order. So, you know, sometimes I'll do brunch and things like that with friends. I try to fly home to Florida. That's where my family is, to see them for like major events. But then I was in and out, you know, I never really had time to just really spend quality time with family unless it was around the holidays. And now with COVID, so I've tried to be a little bit more intentional, being that we're all quarantined. There's a lot of Zoom video chats. There's a lot of FaceTime. There is, I try to set Sundays as, you know, a check-in day with my friends, you know, so I'll shoot them a text or a voice message saying, hey girl, thinking of you. How are you? How are you doing? You know, so that's my way of trying to keep up with the social life. But honestly, I've just been focused on my job, balancing in this craziness with my daughter, you know, because she's not at daycare, and with my husband, you know, and even us trying to spend time together. We've done a few date nights virtually with friends, you know, like we did a painting thing, and then we had a cooking thing, but then we, you know, had a mini vacation getaway. But we try to squeeze things in there, but it has been a challenge. You know, we just have to get creative with you know, with how things are right now. But it is hard, you know. And some weeks my work is hours are longer than others. You know, for the most part, it's pretty flexible, which is what I like about the work that I do. Some weeks might be very light, and then there's other weeks where it might be very intense. So I think it all really depends.
So will you for any reason agree that science is not a woman's thing?
Science is an everybody thing. I would argue, because when you think about it, science, technology, engineer, math, these are the people who work in these fields are literally shaping the world. And so let's say, for example, you only have men in these fields. There's the needs of women are not at the top of mind. So if there's no representation, right, in these spaces to create awareness, and I'm not saying it's intentional, but sometimes you don't know what the needs are if it's not really applicable to you, which is why diversity is important. It's not that, you know, by having all men, they're intentionally just thinking about themselves, but by default, you're just not aware of what the needs are of other ethnicities or genders, so it's definitely, I wouldn't say not a woman thing. It's absolutely vital to be a woman thing. Even, let's go a step further. When you think about birth control and those needs and, the medicine that is used for women's body, I would prefer for a woman to be involved in those decisions versus a man creating that for my body. But just things like that. You want to put yourself in those spaces to create diversity in order to increase awareness, because lack of awareness means lack of inclusivity. And so it's absolutely pivotal, to be included in those spaces as a woman. Absolutely.
Okay, do you think a woman's work schedule can affect performance? Like now with the child, the husband, do you think it affects the performance of the woman?
So yeah, I think that's twofold. I think I'm able to be successful in my role because of the flexibility my job allows me. Okay. Now, if you're a woman who works within a job that's very restrictive and you have a family that you have to manage, then yeah, it can affect your performance negatively because your employer is not aware of the fact that they have kind of put you in this box, right? Of how you can do your job, when you can do your job. And so if that's the case, yeah, and that's not even for a woman, I think anyone. But I think because my job allows me the flexibility where it's not like you are online or at the office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? So if I have to leave to go cater to my doctor's appointment, or which women are usually the ones who are taking the lead on this, right?
Yeah.
Taking care of the home and keeping our home in order. By default, a lot of women, we do these things. But also, I think it makes us very efficient. I think we're really good at time management. Yeah. We're really great at multitasking and getting things done because, we care about the details. We really get into the weeds of things. I think that makes us excellent employees and even leaders, because we know how to manage a household and do our jobs. I think that, it's like that's amazing, because I don't think men are that great at multitasking. I really don't. They want to focus on that one thing, and that's the thing that they're,
that's true.
Women, we do it all. And I think that makes us really good, you want to hire us in that regard. So I think, finding the right employer who is supportive of that, creates the flexibility for you to be able to do your job and take care of your home. I think that's what will make women more successful in the workplace. And you see more employers starting to do that, like the Netflix and the Facebooks and the Microsoft. They're increasing like maternity leave, or if they're increasing like if your child is sick, and they're giving you more time to be able to be successful at both. And if you look at the women who work for those corporations, they have large families and they're being real successful because they work for companies that supports their role in both, inside the office and out. So absolutely. Is it a challenge? Yes. And I have most recently become a firm believer of hiring help where you need it, right? So right now I'm in the middle of hiring a nanny. I'm interviewing nannies because I can't do it all. It did become too much. So the areas where I can have someone else step in, if you have the funds to do it, get the help. I'm really big on that because we do a lot as women. So I do believe, think about that as well for your future, hire the help that you need to help balance home and work.
So has there been any humiliating or tears-driven moments in your course? All because you're a woman.
Have there been any humiliating? Well, I would say there was one project that I was on while I was working in consulting, and the client saw me, and because of what I look like, and this is
Wow.
this is so they didn't say it, but I knew it. You know when you are experiencing these things. And I think it was like a hierarchy thing, and they took me off the project. I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was what I do when I go on every project. And the next week I was told, that I would have to sit it off because the client was not happy with me. And I was like, I figured as much. I got the vibe because when I was there, I felt like I did not belong there, right? It's like I felt like they were looking at me like, why is she here? And then sure enough, the following week, I did not get to go back on that project. So these are some of the challenges that you will navigate. You will face the discrimination and the humiliation, and people who believe you are not smart enough. A lot of times people feel you're just an affirmative action and that you really just don't belong here. You're just filling a number, and they will treat you as such. And, it's sad to say, I don't know if it will ever go away. You'll always experience the one or the two. But I'm very hopeful, and I do believe there's more good than bad in the world. And so I just use those moments as teachable moments to make me stronger. I've grown more confident since. I can honestly say that if I was to ever be in a situation like that again, that it would be completely different. I would probably be a lot more vocal. And of course that comes from being in the field and being more experienced and confident in what I know and who I am. That was still pretty early in my career. So I didn't know how to really advocate for myself. And so now I do. So you will be sometimes humiliated in those moments, but I say just use those as teachable moments and just come back stronger. I'm just in a place now where that just cannot happen to me again. I will absolutely speak up. There's no way that I will let something like that go down the way. Yeah, like it would be different now.
So can you tell us about your job, about cybersecurity, and the courses you did to become where you are?
Yeah, so I went to get a master's in cybersecurity from Brown University. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brown University. So they're one of the 8 Ivy Leagues here in the U.S. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and then Brown is one of the Ivy Leagues. And so I completed my master's there in cybersecurity while I was still at Deloitte. Actually, I think I wrapped it up while I left Deloitte and went to go work for Nike. And so I wrapped things up there. And my job, so I'll take it back. My prior job, I was spent working in data privacy, where I built out a privacy program. And so when I say privacy, I'm talking about the collection of data, the systems that hold the data, and what's happening to the data throughout its entire life cycle, right? And making sure the right access controls are in place. So from a security perspective, the right credentials are being used as a consumer, who use your username and password, having the right systems in place, making sure the right level of transparency is being provided, and making sure that the business is compliant in doing that. So that was one huge aspect of my job when I focused primarily on privacy. Now I'm working with an AWS cloud infrastructure platform. And my goal is to make sure that the platform that my team is building, the developers and things like that, engineers, architects, that it is a secure platform by conducting risk assessments that I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with NIST. So NIST is a huge regulatory, what do you call them? Like a standard that we use to measure how secure technology, like systems, are implemented. And so we're using one of their standards to measure how we're building the platform and how it's secured. And so we're using a lot of Amazon Web Services to do that. And then another thing that we're using is GRC. We're using a tool, and I'm the one that's leading the rollout of the tool. So I do a lot of strategy with assessing where we are with our current system, where we're trying to go for the future system, and making sure everything that happens in between is safe, basically, and how we can measure and track compliance and risk to the business, to the system. So that's currently what I'm doing with my job.
That's really nice. So what would be your advice for a young girl that wants to go into cybersecurity? What do you think are the steps that she should take to make herself exceptionally good?
Well, one, I think everything takes time, but you just have to be consistent. One of the things I have done since 2014 is to continue learning, whether that's taking online courses, like LinkedIn Learning has a ton of stuff that you can access. There is Coursera, Cybery, like there's all these free online tools that you can sign on to. Data Camp, you can learn to code. You know, these are like a lot of online resources that you don't have to wait for someone to give those things to you. You can go get it yourself. YouTube is free. It's a ton of free resources on YouTube. Sometimes I have to really tell myself to slow down with how much I'm trying to learn, because I'm always trying. I want to know. And so every year I'm setting goals for what I want to learn for the year, where I want to be. And not only the learning piece, build your network, like what you're doing, whether it's reaching out to people on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, any social platform. There are people there who can help you get to the next level. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, right? Just be bold, be confident. Definitely build your network. Reach out to people and say, hey, I need help. Or can you tell me how you did it? I think there are more people out there who are willing to share than not, you know, and don't be discouraged if someone says no, because that's literally the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. They say no, you move on to the next person, you know? So yeah, definitely that's what has worked for me. So I would definitely encourage all the women who will be seeing this to do the same.
So what encouraged you to go into sciences in general? Like, why do you like sciences?
Actually, I didn't. So so this is the thing. Actually, I kind of did. So in high school, I took chemistry, biology, anatomy, and physiology, and I did excellent in those courses. I took the AP, which was like the college level courses when I was in high school, and I did well. And then I got to college. And I went to pursue pharmacy, actually, when I started. Okay. And I took chemistry, and the chemistry was different from the chemistry I had been doing in high school. And I said, no, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to do this. So I think I got scared. Now that I'm looking back, I wish I would have pushed through. But I think I was so scared and so intimidated that I changed my major. And although I still ended up back into STEM in a different, on the technology side, which was still just as intimidating, right? Like when you think about all the math classes, the calculus and the physics, you still got to take all of these different challenging courses, or like even like all the accounting. I had to take all the accounting courses. I tried so hard to get around taking these math and sciences, and I just couldn't escape it. The things that were interesting to me required me to take some of those courses. So I say just, whether it's tutoring, get the tutoring that you need, being really disciplined, with creating those time slots so that you can, pursue it. But yeah, I was very intimidated by the sciences and technology and things like that. But when I got older, they were the jobs I wanted to do. you know? So you might as well just, just muster through the courses. They're challenging now, but they're the jobs. They're the cool jobs. They're the well-paying jobs. They're the jobs that's going to give you flexibility and the best life that you probably have planned for yourself. So you stick with the challenges now of those classes, and your future looks bright. And then, especially if you're a minority, because organizations want the diversity. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't stress, too much if you're in that, for those who are doing that now. Stick through it.
You currently did your PhD, right? In data analysis.
No, I actually didn't do my PhD. I told myself I won't go back to school. I did 2 masters. I did my bachelor's and I have a master's in international business.
Okay.
And then I have a master's in cybersecurity. And I looked at going to get a PhD in machine learning. That has a lot to do with like data analytics, big data, and how you manipulate that data to like the Alexa, the Google Home, or or like the Tesla, the self-driving cars. Like that's the kind of artificial intelligence type stuff. That's the stuff that if I'm going to go get a PhD, that's what I would be looking to do in that space.
So you think a PhD will get you a better job, or it's not important?
No, I don't think. I think if you plan on doing research and contributing to, in that aspect, then a PhD is great. But I don't think you need it to be successful. Okay. As a matter of fact, I don't think I needed a second master's to be successful. But I did it for me because I wanted the credentials. I wanted people to know. I wanted to be able to demonstrate that I've done the work. I'm doing the work, to build my knowledge and my skills in the space. So one thing that I've been focused on, like if it's technology, certifications, and a lot of self-taught is happening. In the sciences, a PhD may be valuable if you're planning, like I said, research. Most scientists, they do research and they're very innovative. And so, a PhD holds a lot of value. So I think you have to just really assess where you are in STEM and what it is that, you're trying to do. What is it that you want to do? So it's a pro, but I wouldn't say you need it to be successful. Just really assess what the ultimate goal is and then kind of measure up from there.
So it's been really wonderful having you here. So I'd like to say that what words of encouragement do you have for girls out there? It's they're left in the darkness. They don't really understand what's going on. I think I was that girl before. At some point I was like, but now I understand better. So what do you have to say to them? To encourage them?
Yeah, I would say to the ladies that are watching, don't be afraid to take the road less traveled. It's never crowded, never. And so, and what that means is don't be afraid to do more work, to go a step above what the minimum is, right? If they say, well, here's what you need to do, don't be afraid to go and do more. Don't be afraid to take the extra step, because it's not a lot of people that's taking the extra step. So don't be afraid of doing that. And so that's what I always try to do with everything that I do. I'm like, you know what? Let me do just a little bit more, a little bit more than what's expected. Because it not only does it help me grow, like I said, it creates more opportunities. It creates more visibility. People are able to see you when you go the extra mile. So don't, be afraid to take the road that's traveled. It's never crowded there.
That's true. That means you're telling us to push ourselves to be better. Mm-hmm. And we should keep on trying. And something I picked is consistency. Every successful person has been using that word, consistency. So we have to be consistent and just believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. you have to be consistent. If you're, let's say you're studying really hard for a month or a year, maybe even 2, and you feel like, you know, you're not getting the results that you want, keep going. You know, find what you can do differently, right? If what you're doing, you feel as you're not getting the results you need, try something different. But whatever you do, don't stop, because if you stop, then you're gonna have to start all over again, you know? So it's like, just keep going, don't stop, no matter how hard it is. If you want it, just keep going, and eventually it will happen.
That's right. I've exhausted all my questions.
Oh, this is really great though. I really love what you're doing, and if there's any way that I can support, you know, if I can keep supporting you and in what you're doing here and just staying connected, yeah, definitely.